So today's episode, I'm going to be looking for an amethyst geode and to build an amethyst shard farm. Last episode, I lost my elytra, so my first task was to go to the end to get another pair. The chunk with the stronghold was reset, so when I went through the nether portal, it put me above the warm ocean. I had to jump off and try to find the stronghold. It was a bit trickier than I expected, and I ended up in a boat throwing some eyes of ender to find where to dig down to find the stronghold. I was eventually able to find the stronghold and started to light it up. I found the end portal room. I put some eyes of ender into the portal frame to activate it. I had to install another portal close to the end portal room so it would be easier next time to go to the end. I connected it to a portal in the nether. Next, I put on a fashionable carved pumpkin on my head and jumped into the end portal. Got to the end gateway and crawled through to get to the outer end islands. My plan was to go in the opposite direction of last time, but I ended up going in the exact same direction, but traveling further. I placed a lot of cobblestone as bridges to get from one island to another. I mean a lot of placing cobblestone. I didn't feel like going through the end city, so I just went straight up to get to the end ship. I did get hit by a shulker projectile and ended up levitating, trying not to die from the fall damage. Of course, I already raided the end ship, so I had to break the blocks down to get to the surface. I had to do this quite a few times since I had no idea if I had raided ships already. I kept searching around trying to find an empty end ship. In the process, I found a shulker box I had left behind and an end ship. Eventually, I was able to find an end ship with a pair of elytra. I put the mending and unbreaking enchantments on the elytra, and after that, it was time to do some end busting and find more pairs of elytra. After the end bust, I resupplied and organized the items in my shulker boxes in my end chest. I took all the iron armor and tools and disenchanted them in the grindstone. Smelted the iron down in the smelter to get iron nuggets. Took my melon slices from my base and crafted them into melons. Also grabbed the pumpkins I have. Flew over to my villager trading hall. I then traded the pumpkins and melons to get experience to restore my tools and armor. Plus, I wanted to get levels for putting enchantments on my armor and tools for a backup set. I bought all the enchanted books I needed for my villagers, and last I put all the enchantments on my armor and tools. So after that end busting, villager trading, and enchanting, I have an extra set of armor here, an extra set of tools and elytra and shields, everything I need just in case, and I also got a lot of extra elytra, so I have 5 extra sets of elytra, so luckily I can die about 6 more times before I have to get another elytra. So I'm just outside my base, and between episodes I was doing some stuff around the base, just so that these blocks could weather. And you can tell all of these blocks have weathered to the 4th stage. These ones are weathered. I think that one's exposed. But I think the problem was I didn't space them out enough, so they didn't properly oxidize, but it looks pretty good. So the other thing I want to do is work on the paths around here. I really like the look of this deep slate block, and I think it's a good texture and it would make a good path. So I want to replace that instead of the sand one I originally had. And I also want to fix some of this holes, the random water, and the random stuff around. So that is the next task at hand. This is a little different. There is one wandering trade over here, and there's one over there. This shouldn't usually happen, but I'm guessing that one of them was in an unloaded chunk and the other one spawned in a loaded chunk. So here is some of the terraforming I've done. So you can see there are strips of andesite, stone, half slabs of stone. There's also gravel in there, and between that is the dirt. I'm probably going to keep working on this so it's a little better looking, but this is the first, let's say, draft of it. I think it looks pretty good. Let's check it out by flying around. You can see it looks pretty good over here. I think that adds a lot more of a dimension to around my base, although I got to still work on some spots. Because if you look right over here, it just kind of has a square thing. But I think it looks a lot better. I'm probably going to have it go out a bit and over and define the river a lot better. And I also got rid of that desert hill that was there, and I made it a bit more of a sloping area. So now I have a clear path around my base. Ta-da! So here is my finished deep slate blocks. You can see I did 2 deep slates and some deep slate tile on the sides. I think this works a lot better. When I just had 4 across of deep slate, it just didn't really look that great, and I think the tile kind of breaks it up a bit. I also was worried about how it would work with the colors of my base because they're very bright and vibrant, and the deep slate's a lot darker and gray, but it seems like as a path it works well with the actual base that I built. I think it is time to take the risk and go and look for an amethyst geode. So last episode I got blown up by a creeper when I was in the caves, and it was in a spot where I had no idea where it was. So in order to prevent that, I am wearing a chest plate with the protection enchantment on it so that that won't happen again. Hopefully it won't, because that sucked. Now, I looked through and tried to figure out how rare an amethyst geode was after the last episode because I could not find one, and it is a 1 in 53 chance that a chunk will have an amethyst geode. So I might have to go through 53 different chunks just to find one amethyst geode. So what I'm going to do is go through the cave system I know under my base that had to be reset because of the 1.17 update. So hopefully I can go through there and just explore, and I think that's going to be my strategy, is just to go through the caves and see if I can find an opening to an amethyst geode. I think a good start would be to check around here. So I realized that I might have reset the chunks a lot closer to the base than I probably should have. So maybe if I just go through some of the closer caves, I might find an amethyst geode. So maybe if I actually go in this dungeon, it'll lead to another cave system. So I think I'm going to try that. Hopefully I won't die. And another axolotl. So I think it's time to try something a bit different because I kind of feel like I'm going in circles because I'm just exploring the same caves over and over again. So I thought it'd be a good idea to go higher in the world. So I am at level 30. That's basically where most of my stuff is underground. So I thought it'd be a good idea because sea level is 60, obviously bedrock 0, so halfway in between would be about 30. I might be more likely to hit something like ravines or caves. Oh, looks like it's smooth basalt, so there should be an amethyst geode. This took so long to actually find. Yep, calcite. And then you have the amethyst blocks. So I don't want to hit, well, I don't want to do what I just did there, but I don't want to hit any that are budding amethyst, but the rest I don't really care about. But I'll just dig it out and try to find an opening here so that I can see inside. Why do I keep doing that? Okay. Be a lot more careful than I am doing this. It looks like there's a ton of budding amethyst in this geode. So you can tell this is a budding amethyst because it has the X or the creeper face on it. You can see one there also, and that's the only block that grows the amethyst clusters. So I definitely want as many of these exposed as possible. I kind of want to be careful because these seem to be breaking pretty easily because of the pickaxe I have. So I definitely want to farm this and get as many as possible. I gotta figure out how close this is to my base. So here I am. This is the spot where the amethyst geode generated. It's 30 blocks down, and it is pretty close to my base. So it's a good thing I reset the chunks, otherwise it wouldn't have generated here. I'm not sure if it's close enough to actually be used as a farm the way I want to use it. Let's explain how the budding amethyst blocks in amethyst clusters work. The budding amethyst blocks can't be moved or broken, otherwise they will be destroyed. There are 4 stages of growth for the amethyst clusters. You can only get amethyst shards from mining it at the 4th stage. The fortune enchantment can increase the drops by 4 per level at fortune 3. It can be up to 16 amethyst shards. There is a 20% chance every random tick, or 68 seconds on average, to create an amethyst bud, the first stage of an amethyst cluster, on a budding amethyst block. The growth rates of the amethyst cluster are very long, so it might take quite a while until it actually reaches the stage of an amethyst cluster. For clearing out the amethyst geode, I use some iron pickaxes. That way I could be a lot more gentle and not accidentally break some budding amethyst blocks. It looks really weird in here. So I cleared out the amethyst geode, all the amethyst blocks, the calcite, and the smooth basalt, and I think I got rid of all the amethyst blocks, although I can't tell on every spot. So I have this giant cavern in here, and the next step is to get pistons that will be 1 block away from these budding amethyst blocks so that they can push and break the amethyst clusters when they're at the 4th stage. So I have all the pistons set up here, and they will break the amethyst clusters from the budding amethyst whenever the timing is set up. The thing is, this is a lot more complicated than I expected. So I have not done a ton of it up here. You can tell I've been here a long time because it's all amethyst shards now, or it's all at the 4th stage of the amethyst cluster. So I would get tons of amethyst shards from this. So because it's so much, I just thought I would just build this much and then add the hopper clocks to get the timing right. So it does work right now. You can see all the pistons extending. There is repeaters to extend it up there. There's more over there. So yeah, I now got to add the hopper clocks. So I built the hopper clock and got the timing right for this thing. So it should work. So basically how this works, if you're not familiar with hopper clocks, are these two are facing each other and they're feeding items back and forth. So you can see this one is filtering into that one. So this block of redstone is basically locking this hopper right now. So it allows all the items to flow into this one. For this one, I needed 313 items to be flowing back and forth. And how this works is the comparators are measuring the signal of the hoppers. So when one of the comparators gets a signal of 0 because this thing is empty, because it filtered all the items into the other one, it'll basically cause this piston to basically detract. So it'll go this way, and then as soon as that hopper gets all the items in it, it'll push the block of redstone there, and then it just basically flows back and forth, giving you a nice timing to it. Now the part that makes this a bit tricky for this farm is that you need a pretty long time span. So I need 167 minutes. So I have a redstone torch right here that basically is activated by this. When this redstone dust is not powered, this will power this dropper right here that feeds into this hopper, and this hopper feeds into this. It's basically the same idea here. So when there's no signal here, it'll cause this thing to detract and go this way, and vice versa. There's 40 items in here. So when all 40 items end up in this hopper, it'll basically activate this. It'll go over here. It'll activate the entire circuit, push all the pistons, and then detract. So basically this thing will activate every 167 minutes. So I built the water streams that filter into a hopper into chests, and the other two options would have been rails to pick up the shards when they get broken by the pistons, and then the other one would have been hoppers that would be right under where it would drop. So for example, right here would be a hopper. But man, the spatial, like how to lay this out with all the space is really complicated. And the other things I've discovered is that I'll have to be in here for it to actually work, because the distance isn't quite right for it to be loaded when I'm in my base, because I was doing a ton of stuff. I came back in here and it hadn't grown anything at all. And I'm just honestly waiting for this to push to see how it works, because I still have 17, so that's like probably almost an hour still before I can actually see if this works, because this thing looks like it's fully grown and it looks like I'll get shards from all of this. But I just want to get an idea of how many shards I can actually get out of this farm, how it's built right now. So it's nighttime, so I might as well go and check out my amethyst geode and see how many amethyst shards. So it was taking so long, I actually put in an elevator to make it a bit easier. You can see it's pretty close to my base. I was definitely wrong about the coordinates of it. So let's go down and check out the amount of amethyst shards. So while I was waiting, I did some building too. I really like the sound of this amethyst blocks, just walking on it. Kind of has a xylophone thing going, and it's really nice. It's not like repetitive like some of the sounds in Minecraft. So anyways, I should mention I screwed up when I was building and I accidentally removed this piece of redstone, which made the hopper clock fire way sooner than I meant to do it. So it kind of screwed things up, but let's check out how many shards I got. So I only got 26 amethyst shards. Now, before I did this, I had 14 in here, so that means I only got 12 amethyst shards, which is not a lot at all. So in order to do this, I'm going to need way more amethyst shards. So it's not like I'm going to have to build another farm, but I'm definitely going to have to put more pistons in to take advantage of all these budding amethyst blocks. Because if I want to use tinted glass, I'm going to need a lot of amethyst shards. So let's go through the 2 crafting recipes involving amethyst shards. I need glass. So let's go through the 3 crafting recipes involving amethyst shards. So the first one is an amethyst block. Unfortunately, you cannot craft the amethyst block back into amethyst shards, so this is not a good way of actually storing amethyst shards. The next one is a spyglass. So it is 2 copper ingots and an amethyst shard. And basically what a spyglass does is it zooms in. So here is a normal field of vision, and there is a zoomed in field of vision. Normal field of vision, zoomed in field of vision. And the third crafting recipe is tinted glass. So it is 4 amethyst shards and a piece of glass gets you 2 tinted glass. So what tinted glass is another kind of glass. It basically acts the same in most ways. The big difference is with normal glass, light can go through it, but with tinted glass, you can actually use it to block out light. So if you look right now, it looks pretty transparent, and basically through this hole, light is still getting through here. But if I go in here and I put tinted glass, you can see it got way darker. Now this is going to be really useful, and I think it's one of the most underrated blocks in the 1.17 update, because it can actually be used for something like a mob farm or mushroom farming. So now if you have something, let's say like a dungeon XP grinder, you can have the grinder, but you can put tinted glass on the sides, which means you can look into the farm to see that it's actually working, and it still blocks out light so that it'll spawn the mobs. So this could be used for a lot of the mob farm related farms, so things like creeper farms or just mob farms, or as I just said, XP grinders. So this is going to be a very valuable block, and that's why I want a lot of amethyst shards. I think that is enough for today's episode. I gotta say, I'm really enjoying the 1.17 update, and there's so many ideas I have about episodes coming up. So thank you guys for watching.